Within about 30 seconds, we were singing from the same hymn sheet. Lovely chap. Hello YouTube, my name's Ian J. Cole, welcome to my channel, and this is Jane.
Hi.
And we're now on day 8 of our Edinburgh Fringe marathon. Tomorrow is our last full day, tomorrow is our last day. We have just been to see Georges Méliès.
Yeah, I would say it was.
I'm going to let Jane do. Jane can speak a little bit of French. I am absolutely.
No pressure.
I'm absolutely rubbish at pronunciations. Okay. So we were invited by the French Institute in Edinburgh to go to. I think is today the first time that they've actually run it?
I think it is. They did it for the cultural attaché yesterday.
That's what was said. Yes. So today's the first. Basically, today's press day. Although people bought tickets, and we were invited along with a lot of other press to come and see a collection of Georges Méliès films to a live score. Now Georges Méliès was what.
No, I was just going to show.
Oh, yeah, sorry, show that. Yeah.
So I was just going to show that's what we went to.
Yeah. Now, Georges Méliès, if you don't know, was in the 1800s and early 19th century, was a phenomenal illusionist and filmmaker, and he made silent films because there wasn't any talkies in those days. And what's happened here is that the composer has put together a lot of his films were burnt. He burnt them when Pathé took over his studio in 1923, I think it was.
Yeah, or 24. But so it was actually 19th into the early 20th century. Sorry,
yes, yeah. I said history is not my strong point, and he burnt a lot of his negatives. So there's not, and although some years he would do 50 films a year, so there was a lot of films that he did, but there aren't an awful lot left. I think there's a maximum couple of hundred, and some of those are just clips. And the composer had been able to choose the order of the films we were going to see, and then he composed a score to those films. Now it was he's a predominantly composer. I'm going to let Jane say who he is.
Well, what I'm going to read is the concept, musical compositions and sound creation, melodica, keyboard, piano structure, and objects, of which there were a lot. So this was the main composer, was Jean-François Alcoléa. And apologies.
Kicking. Sorry about that. We had battery died on us.
Right. Okay. So, and then drum, guitar. There are two names, and apologies. I think it was Fabrice that we saw, but it's either Fabrice Favreau or it was Julien Rollo. And sound, keyboard, percussions, and objects was Stéphane Brunet.
Now I had quite a long conversation with Stefan after the performance, because we got talking about digital audio workstations and all that sort of stuff, and we were clearly brothers. Within about 30 seconds, we were singing from the same hymn sheet. Lovely chap, and in fact, there isn't a record. I asked him if there was a recording of the composition, the pieces, and he said that there isn't, but there is a DVD, and I've actually bought the DVD because I was so impressed with the music. And what were your thoughts?
Well, it was just fantastic to see all the old film.
It was, yeah.
I mean, the famous one that we are more all familiar with is the trip to the moon, where you've got that fantastic sort of face that is the moon. It's like melting cheese,
and it's got the rocket lands in the eye, doesn't
right,
it?
Yeah. So that one we didn't see, but that is what.
In fact, is there a picture of it on there?
Yeah, there may well
might be. We were given some postcards and a little. No, it isn't actually.
It isn't.
I'll try and get a picture of it and drop it.
But so it was an absolute treat to see. I mean, he was so ahead of his time.
Gosh, yeah.
I mean, the tricks that he was able to show on screen, and sort of mixing live footage and cutting and I mean all the creativity. It was fantastic, and some of it was very funny, because they actually played an extra bit for us, which was people wrestling. Now that was very funny, and it was great fun. And also actually, I mean, there was one piece that was the title was On the Top of a Moving Train, and even though they did. You realised that actually you were seeing some of the same footage, it was being repeated, but it was still fascinating to see the train going through stations from, not sure, late 1930s, 20th century. The dress looked Victorian. So, and you're thinking, gosh, this is a real glimpse of life, well over 100 years ago. I really like that about it.
I mean, I thought, being completely honest, I loved the score and I loved seeing the films, but I'm not sure that I felt, for me, they were right together. I'd rather have sat and listened to the score and see these guys perform it and not have the... I think I was distracted. I didn't know whether to look at them, because they were doing really interesting things with some slightly avant-garde experimental type things, like he was dropping plastic. He had it's like the strings of a piano in a bed, so basically like a prepared piano, and he was dropping plastic cups on it and things like that, and ball bearings and all that, and I was fascinated by all that sort of stuff. But then I'm also meant to be looking at the actual film, so I was distracted by what I was seeing, and there was a bit where there was no film and they played for probably about a minute and a half.
Oh, I would have said longer.
You think it was longer?
Yeah, I do.
And I actually liked that better. As much as I loved the score and I loved the images, I personally would have liked to have just seen it as a concert, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm conscious, of course, I've just talked about the film, but I mean, it was fantastic having live music accompanying that bit of film.
Yeah, it was.
And just hearing how they interpreted it, some of the images, and it was interesting because every so often you'd get a literal sort of interpretation.
Yeah, you would,
somebody was attacking a door.
Yeah.
And that's what it sounded like. And there were a couple of other things.
So there was sound design going on, but not to everything.
No. But yes, some of it you thought, that maybe that doesn't go as well as some of the other. But I mean, that's what it's about. And just to have live music was fantastic.
And certainly, as Jane's given the name of the composer, I'm not going to even try to pronounce his name. He clearly is passionate about this project and what he's been able to create, because he was talking at the end to the audience, and he, some of it was some sound design, some of it wasn't. There was a train that went over a cliff, and you expected to hear. So we've got
something's going on. We've had thunder and lightning.
We'll just wait till the police or ambulance go by. Train going over a cliff, and you sort of half expected there to be some sound design about the crash at the end, and there wasn't. But these are not taking it away from what this was. This was it's about an hour and a half, and it was absolutely lovely to sit in a theatre and listen to this music and watch these images.
It was something very special.
It was, yeah,
very special.
Anyway, this is. I need to say when it's on. Is it not in here?
Not sure.
Right. Okay. Actually, tell you what we will do is there's they have a little promotional 2 or 3 minute film which I will include now.
I've just noticed, and I think it's worth reading out, that Alcoléa and Sier is a reactive and creative team comprising artists, visual artists and technicians working together to produce each show. So I think, you won't hear it will be different every time you hear it. I mean, obviously the basic structure will be there, but you'll never hear the same thing twice, which I like.
And certainly the press officer was saying to us that we stayed for a cup of tea, didn't we, at the end? And she was saying that at certain parts of the film it will never be the same again because it's improvised. So every time it will be slightly different.
Yeah.
So it's called Right in the Eye, live movie concert of Georges Méliès films. And it's on every day throughout the Fringe till the 25th of August, and it's at the French Institute, and the tickets are £10, and it's on at 1:30 every day. And they are doing other films as well. In fact, they've invited us to another one on the 14th, but we'll be back in Yorkshire by then. So sadly, and we would go because I'd like to go and see another. I'm not sure if it's by the same composer. I don't even know what actual film it is, but when we accepted this invitation, they emailed us back and said, "Oh, do you want to come to this other one?" Well, sadly we can't, but definitely worth seeing if you're coming up to Edinburgh Fringe.
Something very different.
Very different.
Very special.
Yeah. How many stars?
I think I have to go for 5, actually.
Okay. Well, I will go for 4. But we always round it up to whichever one of us is given the most stars. So we'll give it 5. Okay. So thanks so much for watching. See you in the next video. And all that sort of stuff about subscribing, about all that. Okay. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.